If someone had told me years ago that the man I married and the sister I grew up protecting would betray me together, I would have laughed. You don't see things like that coming. Not when you've built your life around family, loyalty, and love. My name is Claire, and this isn't a story I tell to seek pity. It's the story of how lies destroy the people who trust the hardest, and how one act of courage for my daughter changed everything. For 20 years, my husband Michael and I were what everyone called the steady couple. We weren't flashy, we weren't dramatic, we were the kind of family people looked at and said, they've got it figured out. We had a daughter, Emily, our only child. She was bright, compassionate, and fiercely loyal. The kind of daughter any mother dreams of. And then there was my sister, Vanessa. She was younger than me by 4 years. Wild, fun, impulsive. Where I was the calm, steady one, she was the spark that lit every room she walked into. After my parents passed away, I became something of a guardian to her. I paid for her college, helped her find her first apartment, and whenever she got into trouble, I was the one who bailed her out. Michael used to joke, "You're more like her mother than her sister." I used to smile at that. Now, I wish I hadn't. It started small, too small to notice at first. Michael and I had been married for 22 years. Like any long marriage, we had routines. He worked in real estate, often staying late to handle clients. I taught English at the local high school and spent most evenings grading papers or cooking dinner. Vanessa had recently gone through a breakup and started coming by more often. "You don't mind, right?" she'd ask with that nervous little laugh. "Your place feels like home." Of course, I didn't mind. She was my sister. I thought I was doing a good thing, giving her comfort. But over the months, something changed. Michael started smiling more when she was around. He'd make little jokes to her, things he hadn't said to me in years. Inside jokes, shared looks, laughter that felt private. At first, I brushed it off. I told myself I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid, until one evening. I came home early from work because of a canceled staff meeting. The house was quiet. Michael's car was in the driveway, and Vanessa's old blue Honda was parked next to it. I walked in quietly, thinking maybe they were having coffee in the kitchen, but the kitchen was empty. Then I heard it, laughter. Soft, intimate, coming from upstairs. Something inside me froze. I walked up, step by step, my heart pounding. The sound grew clearer, a man's voice, low and familiar, followed by a giggle I knew too well. I pushed open the door to the guest room, and there they were, my husband, my sister. They didn't even notice me at first. The world blurred, my vision tunneled, and all I remember hearing was the sound of my own breathing, heavy and uneven. When they finally saw me standing there, Vanessa gasped and scrambled to grab a sheet. Michael froze, like a man caught in headlights. "Claire," he started, but I didn't let him speak. I walked out, calmly, slowly. My body moved on instinct while my mind screamed. Down the stairs, out the front door, into my car. I don't remember driving. I don't remember crying. I just remember ending up in the parking lot of the local grocery store, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My phone buzzed over and over. Michael, Vanessa, both trying to call. I didn't answer. I stayed at a motel that night, the kind with buzzing lights and coffee that tastes like burnt plastic. The next morning, I called Emily. She was 23, working in another city, but when she heard my voice, the way it cracked when I said, "Sweetheart, I need you to come home," she didn't ask questions. She was there that evening. We sat in the kitchen and I told her everything. Every word felt like breaking glass. She listened, silent, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to something darker. When I finished, she whispered, "He did that with Aunt Vanessa." I nodded. She sat there for a long time, staring at the table. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Mom, don't worry. I'll handle it." Her voice was calm, too calm. I reached across the table. "Emily, no. Don't get involved. It's not your fight." She looked up at me, and there was steel in her eyes I'd never seen before. "Yes, it is. He's not just your husband. He's my father." And then she stood up and walked away. That night, she didn't come home. For the next few days, things blurred together. Michael kept calling, begging to explain. He showed up at the door twice, but I didn't answer. Vanessa texted constantly, her messages switching between apology and self-pity. I never meant for it to happen. It was a mistake. Please don't hate me, Claire. I didn't reply. Meanwhile, Emily stayed quiet. She was home, but distant, locked in her room most of the time, laptop open, typing furiously. I thought she was journaling, trying to cope. I didn't realize what she
Like, subscribe, and share with your friends who related to it. Comment below for next story.
was actually doing. Until the night I heard her voice from the living room. Mom, she called softly. Can you come here a second? I walked in. She was sitting on the couch, phone in her hand. The TV was on, not the news, but YouTube. A new channel I didn't recognize. The title of the video froze my blood. My father's secret, the affair that broke our family. I stared at her. Emily, what is this? She didn't look away. It's the truth. I sank into the chair opposite her. You posted about us? She nodded. No names, no locations, just the story. I needed people to know what kind of man he really is, how he treated you, how Aunt Vanessa destroyed our family. I didn't know what to say. I was torn between pride and fear. The video has already garnered thousands of views. Comments flooded the screen. Strangers offering sympathy, outrage, support. And then I saw one that made my heart stop. This sounds like Michael Dawson from Greenwood Realty. Isn't he married to a teacher? I turned to Emily. You said no names. I didn't, she said quickly. But people guess. They connect dots. Within days, the story spread like wildfire. Local gossip pages picked it up. Someone from Michael's company recognized details. By the end of the week, his professional reputation was in shambles. He called me again, this time angry. Claire, you need to make her take that video down. It's ruining me. I said quietly, you did that yourself. He started shouting, but I hung up. The fallout was brutal. Michael's boss called him in for a conversation. Within days, he was placed on leave. Clients backed out. Vanessa lost her job too. Someone leaked screenshots from her social media, connecting her to the scandal. Emily didn't stop there. She began uploading a series, The Aftermath, Living with Betrayal. She never revealed our names, but her storytelling was sharp, emotional, raw. People resonated with it. She went viral, millions of views, thousands of comments from people who had lived through similar heartbreaks. But what stunned me most was how maturely she spoke. She didn't sound vengeful, she sounded strong. When someone betrays you, she said in one video, you don't have to scream. You don't have to destroy them. Just tell the truth and let the world see who they really are. I watched her from the doorway one night, editing her next video, her face illuminated by the screen. She looked so much older, wiser. I whispered, I'm proud of you. She turned, tears in her eyes. I just wanted him to feel what you felt, Mom. Invisible, small, replaceable. And for the first time in weeks, I pulled her into my arms. A month later, Michael came to the house again. This time, I opened the door. He looked exhausted, thinner, unshaven, eyes red. Can we talk? He asked. I nodded and stepped aside. He sat on the couch, rubbing his hands together. Claire, I've lost everything. My job, my reputation. Even Vanessa won't speak to me. She moved away. I crossed my arms. And what do you want me to do about that? He trailed off, voice cracking. I made a mistake. I don't know why I did it. I was stupid and weak. And stop, I said it gently, not angrily. You did it because you could. Because you thought I'd always forgive you. He looked up at me, tears glistening. Can you? For a moment, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered the nights I spent crying in that motel. The years of trust were shattered in a single day. I already have, I said softly. His eyes widened. Forgiving you doesn't mean I want you back. It means I don't want to carry your sins anymore. He stared at me for a long moment, then stood slowly and left. When the door closed behind him, I exhaled, long, deep, free. That night, Emily came downstairs and said, Mom, do you think I went too far? I looked at her, this brave young woman who had turned her pain into strength. No, I said. You gave truth a voice. That's not revenge. That's justice. She smiled, and for the first time since it all began, I saw light in her eyes again. It's strange how quiet the world feels after chaos. The weeks after Michael left were calm, almost unnervingly so. I'd expected pain, anger, tears. But instead, there was silence. A silence that felt like the first breath after drowning. Emily was still making her videos, though she had slowed down. Her channel had grown massively. 500,000 subscribers, endless messages from people telling her she gave them courage. I was proud of her, but I also worried. One morning, I woke to find her sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through comments with an unreadable expression. "What's wrong?" I asked, pouring coffee. She sighed. "Some people think I should expose their names. They're saying it's not fair that Dad and Aunt Vanessa get to walk away without anyone knowing exactly who they are." I froze mid-pour. "You're not actually considering that, are you?" She didn't answer. I set the coffee down. "Emily, listen to me. What you've done already, it's enough. You've told the truth. You've healed. Don't cross that line." She met my eyes, her jaw tight. "But they're living their lives, Mom. He's out there pretending to be some victim, and she's probably planning her next move. It's not right." I could see it, the fire behind her calm. The same fire I'd once had when I was young, and everything felt black and white. But I knew what revenge could do. It burns hotter than justice and leaves nothing but ashes. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "sometimes the worst punishment is letting them see that you survived." She didn't respond, just nodded and went upstairs. That night, I heard her typing again. The rapid, focused click of keys. My stomach twisted. 2 days later, I got a call from my friend Laura, who worked at the same school where I taught before I took my leave. "Claire," she said cautiously, "you might want to sit down." My heart skipped. "What happened?" "It's about Vanessa." I gripped the phone. "What about her?" Laura sighed. "Someone leaked photos of her with Michael. Screenshots, text messages, even emails. They're all over a local gossip forum. People are saying they've been having an affair for over a year." My hand went cold. "Do they know who leaked them?" "No," Laura said. "But from what I've seen, it looks like someone had access to both their phones." That evening, I waited for Emily to come home. She walked through the door, calm, composed, too calm. "Emily," I said quietly, "we need to talk." She sat down, pretending not to know what I meant. "I got a call," I said. "Someone leaked Dad and Vanessa's messages." She blinked, feigning surprise. "Really? Wow. Emily." She looked away, chewing her lip. "Did you do it?" I asked. For a long time, she didn't answer. Then she whispered, "I didn't mean for it to get that big. I just wanted people to know who they really are." I closed my eyes, trying to stay calm. "Honey, you crossed the line. You could get into serious trouble. That's private data. It's not just about morality now, it's about legality." Her voice broke. "So they get to destroy your life and just walk away. And I'm supposed to sit here and do nothing." Tears filled my eyes. "You think I haven't wanted to hurt them, too. But revenge doesn't heal. It just keeps the wound open." She slammed her hands on the table. "You forgave him too easily. You always do this, Mom. You let people walk all over you. Dad, Aunt Vanessa, even Grandma. You just keep forgiving and pretending it doesn't hurt." The words cut deeper than she knew. I whispered, "I forgive so I can sleep at night." She went quiet, then stood up, grabbed her keys, and left. The sound of the front door slamming echoed through the house. That night, I sat in the dark, staring at the walls. The betrayal I thought I'd buried was crawling back, not because of Michael or Vanessa, but because of the fallout consuming my daughter. The next morning, I opened social media. My stomach dropped. Vanessa had posted a long, emotional video. She was crying, saying she'd been harassed and defamed by anonymous trolls, that her private messages were leaked, and she was suffering emotional trauma. The comments were brutal. Some people defended her, others tore her apart. And then I saw Michael's name. He'd left a comment. "This has gone too far. We made mistakes, but no one deserves public humiliation. Whoever did this, you will regret it." I didn't realize how literal that threat would become. The next evening, there was a knock at my door. It was Michael. His eyes were bloodshot, his face hollow. "Can we talk?" he said. I hesitated. "Emily's not home." "I came to talk to you." I stepped aside, wary. He walked in, pacing. "You need to get her to stop. She's ruining my life." "I told you before, Michael, I don't control her." He stopped, eyes narrowing. "Then maybe you should start. Because if she doesn't stop, I'm calling a lawyer. What she did is illegal." I felt something inside me break. "You want to sue your own daughter?" He clenched his jaw. "She's not a kid anymore. Actions have consequences." "Consequences," I repeated bitterly. "You're one to talk." His expression hardened. "You think you're innocent in all this? You let her attack us. You encouraged it." That hit me like a slap. "Encouraged it? You destroyed our family, Michael." "She defended me because you didn't." He turned toward the door. "Tell her this ends now. I'm done playing games." When he left, I sank onto the couch and sobbed. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't over. The next morning, I found Emily asleep at her desk, laptop open. I glanced at the screen, a draft of a new video titled "The Truth About My Father's Threats." I shook her gently awake. "Emily, please, stop this before it gets worse." She rubbed her eyes. "He threatened you, didn't he?" "Emily, no. I'm not letting him scare us again. He needs to understand he can't silence me." "Sweetheart, you're not fighting him anymore. You're fighting his shadow. You're letting him live rent-free in your heart." She looked at me for a long moment and then said softly, "Maybe I need to burn the house down to get rid of the ghosts." Over the next few weeks, things spiraled. Michael did call a lawyer. Cease and desist letters arrived at our door. Vanessa filed a complaint about defamation and emotional distress. Emily's channel was flooded with trolls and defenders. Every video she made now had thousands of comments debating morality, truth, and revenge. I begged her to stop, but she was addicted, not to fame, but to justice. The kind of justice that doesn't end until everyone involved feels the pain they caused. Then one day, something unexpected happened. Vanessa showed up. I opened the door and froze. She looked terrible, pale, thin, eyes red. "Can I come in?" she whispered. Every part of me wanted to slam the door. But something, maybe pity, maybe curiosity, made me step aside. She walked in, wringing her hands. "Claire, I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I need to say this." I crossed my arms, silent. "I'm sorry," she said, voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. Michael made me feel seen, and I was stupid enough to mistake that for love." I stared at her, disbelief turning to fury. "You were my sister. You slept with my husband, and you're telling me it just happened?" Tears streamed down her face. "I've lost everything. My job, my friends, people spit on me in the street. Claire, you have to tell Emily to stop." I laughed bitterly. "You want me to save you now? After what you did?" She dropped to her knees, sobbing. "Please, I can't take it anymore. I've thought about ending it." The words hit me like a punch. I knelt beside her, torn between hatred and compassion. "Vanessa," I whispered, "you destroyed me. But I don't want your death on my conscience." She looked up, eyes wide. "Then please talk to her." I nodded slowly. "I will." But as she left, I realized something chilling. Even now, she was manipulating me. She knew guilt was my weakness, and it worked. That night, I told Emily everything. She listened quietly, arms folded. "She's trying to make you feel bad. Don't fall for it. She's your aunt," I said softly. "And she's human. I don't want her blood on our hands." Emily's expression hardened. "She had no problem watching you fall apart. Why should we care now?" "Because that's what makes us different." She stared at me for a long time. Then she whispered, "Fine. I'll stop. For you." And she did. She deleted the draft, turned off her camera, and for the first time in months, we sat down for dinner like a normal family. It was quiet, peaceful. 3 days later, the police showed up at our door. "Mrs. Dawson," the officer asked. "Yes." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we need to inform you. Vanessa Cooper was found unresponsive in her apartment early this morning." The room spun. "Is she?" "She didn't make it," he said gently. "It appears to be self-inflicted." I collapsed into the chair, my heart pounding. Emily appeared behind me. "What happened?" The officer looked between us. I'm sorry for your loss. After he left, I turned to Emily, numb. She's gone, I whispered. Emily's face went pale. I didn't mean, she stopped herself, voice breaking. Mom, I didn't want this. I held her tightly as she sobbed, whispering, I know, sweetheart. I know. But deep down, I could feel something shift inside her. The realization that revenge doesn't just hurt the guilty. It takes a piece of the avenger, too. The days after Vanessa's death passed in a blur of numbness. It was as if time had stopped, but the world kept spinning without me. The police ruled it a suicide. No foul play, no note, just an empty bottle of sleeping pills and a phone full of unread messages. The last person she had called was Michael. I couldn't stop thinking about that, about how even in her final moments, she reached out to the man who had destroyed both of us. The morning after the funeral, Emily sat at the kitchen table, her eyes hollow. I keep seeing her face, she said quietly. Every time I close my eyes, she's there. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You didn't kill her, Emily. She shook her head. Didn't I? I made the videos. I made everyone hate her. I just wanted her to feel what she made you feel. Her voice cracked. But now she's gone, and I don't even know if I feel better. Tears welled up in my eyes. That's the thing about revenge, sweetheart. It doesn't fix the hole. It just changes its shape. That night, the phone rang. Michael. I almost didn't answer. But something in me, maybe guilt, maybe curiosity, made me pick up. Claire. His voice came through raw and broken. She's dead. She's really gone. I said nothing. She called me that night, he continued. I didn't pick up. I thought she was just drunk again. And now, his voice broke into a sob. God, what have we done? The irony hit like a hammer. We. There was no we. He and Vanessa had chosen this path. I was just the wreckage left behind. But still, hearing his pain made something inside me crack. Because as much as I hated him, a part of me remembered the man I once loved. Michael, I said quietly, you should talk to someone. You can't carry this alone. He scoffed bitterly. And you can? You're the reason Emily turned her into a public joke. My breath caught. Don't you dare put this on me. She did it because of you, he snapped. Because of what you told her. You filled her head with your bitterness. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. But his words lingered. A week later, the story hit the news. Local woman found dead after online harassment linked to viral YouTube channel. They didn't mention names at first, but the internet doesn't need full names to connect dots. Within hours, Emily's identity was leaked. Her videos went from inspirational to infamous overnight. Hate comments flooded her inbox. People who once praised her now call her a bully, a killer, a heartless daughter. I tried to take her phone away, begged her to log off, but it was too late. The damage was done. One afternoon, I found her sitting on the floor, surrounded by printed articles and screenshots, her eyes red. Mom, she whispered, they hate me. I knelt beside her. Then stopped reading it. I can't. I need to know what they're saying. Her voice was hollow, robotic, like she'd gone numb to the noise. I grabbed her shoulders. Emily, listen to me. None of this matters. You do what you thought was right. But it's time to stop living in this cycle. She looked up, tears spilling. But how do I live knowing someone died because of me? I didn't have an answer, so I just held her. 2 days later, a reporter showed up at my door. Mrs. Dawson? I'm with Channel 9 News. We're doing a story on cyberbullying and its consequences. We'd love to get your daughter's side of things. I slammed the door in his face, but they didn't stop. They camped outside our house for days. Neighbors whispered. Strangers drove by, slowing down to take pictures. And then, as if fate wasn't cruel enough, Michael showed up again. This time, he didn't come to talk. He came to fight. He pounded on the door until Emily opened it. What do you want? She asked, voice trembling. He pushed past her, eyes blazing. You destroyed my life. You killed her. Get out, I shouted. But he ignored me. You think this is justice? Watching people die because of your stupid videos. Emily's face went white. You think I wanted this? You cheated on my mother. You ruined our family. I made a mistake, he roared. But I didn't ruin lives on the internet for likes. That word, likes, snapped something in me. Get out. I screamed. You don't get to talk about morality. You're the reason this happened. He turned to me, eyes red. You think you're innocent, too. You could have stopped her. But no, you let her keep posting. You love being the victim. Michael, admit it, he shouted. You wanted revenge just as much as she did. The room went silent, because deep down he wasn't wrong. Part of me had enjoyed watching his reputation crumble. Part of me had wanted him to feel what I felt. Part of me had fed that fire in Emily, even if I never said it out loud. He saw it on my face. Yeah, he whispered bitterly. Thought so. Then he left. That night, Emily didn't come down for dinner. I went upstairs to check on her. She was sitting on her bed, laptop open to a blank video draft. What are you doing? I asked. She looked up, eyes dull. I'm going to make one last video. Tell the truth. All of it. I shook my head. Emily, please don't, she cut me off. No, Mom. I have to. I can't live like this anymore. I need people to hear me. I didn't argue. I just sat beside her as she pressed record. She spoke softly, calmly, like a confession. This isn't a revenge story anymore. It's a story about how anger eats you alive. I thought if I exposed my dad and aunt, I'd find peace. But I didn't. I just found more pain. And now someone's gone. I didn't want that. I just wanted justice for my mom. But I became the villain instead. Her voice cracked. If you're watching this, please don't let anger guide you. Because once it starts, you can't stop it. When she finished, she turned to me and whispered, Do you think she'd forgive me? I took her hand. If she could see how much she regretted, yes, I think she would. She nodded, tears falling silently. The next morning, her video had over 1 million views. Thousands of comments poured in, some forgiving, others cruel. But one stood out. It was from an anonymous account. Forgiveness doesn't erase what's done, but it's the only way to move forward. I didn't know who wrote it, but it was enough to make Emily smile for the first time in weeks. A month passed. The media storm died down. Michael stopped calling. We tried to rebuild our lives, slowly, quietly. One evening, I walked past Emily's room and saw her packing a suitcase. Where are you going? I asked. She smiled softly. A retreat. For digital mental health creators. They invited me to speak. I blinked. You? Yeah, she said. They want me to talk about online responsibility. Ironic, huh? I laughed for the first time in months. I'm proud of you. She hugged me. I'm proud of us. But as she left, I stood at the door and watched her drive away, feeling something heavy lift off my chest. The revenge was over. The damage couldn't be undone. But somehow, amidst the ashes, we'd found a way to start again. Still, some nights I wake up and think about Vanessa, about Michael, about the things we did and the things we didn't. And I realize that revenge doesn't just destroy the guilty, it consumes everyone who touches it. Because in the end, none of us walked away clean, only scarred, and somehow still standing. After that night, our house no longer felt like a home. The walls were heavy with secrets and betrayal, and every sound seemed to echo with memories I wished I could forget. My sister had moved out immediately after the confrontation. She hadn't said a word to me, but the look on her face before leaving, a mixture of guilt, fear, and shame, was burned into my mind. David, on the other hand, stayed. He begged me to talk. He cried, swore he'd change, said it was just a mistake. He said he didn't want to lose the family. But when I looked at him, I saw only the ghost of the man I once loved. The man who had shared my dreams, and my bed was gone, replaced by someone I couldn't even stand to look at. My daughter, Emily, refused to be near him. The night she found out, she screamed at him until her voice broke. You destroyed everything, she cried. You don't get to come back from this. She didn't eat for 2 days. I tried to comfort her, but she was like a storm, angry, restless, silent. Then one morning, she came into the kitchen looking calm, too calm. Her eyes were cold, determined. Mom, she said, I know what I'm going to do. I didn't know it then, but she had already started her revenge. Emily had always been good with technology, social media, editing, even coding a little. She knew her father's habits, his emails, his hidden folder in his phone, his cloud account, everything. While I was still trying to hold myself together, she was collecting evidence. One night, I found her sitting in her room with her laptop open. "Sweetheart, what are you doing?" I asked. She looked up, just making sure he never does this to anyone else. There were pictures, hundreds of them, screenshots of messages, photos, timestamps. Not just with my sister. There were other women, too. Women from his office, women from online. He'd been cheating for years. I felt sick. My hands trembled. Why didn't I see it? I whispered. "Because you trusted him," Emily said softly. "But don't worry. Everyone's going to know who he really is." The next few days felt like waiting for an explosion. David thought things were cooling down. He started being nice again, cooking breakfast, bringing flowers, leaving notes like, "We can fix this." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Then it happened. Emily had posted everything. On Facebook, Instagram, even Reddit, under the title, "My father cheated on my mom with her sister, and she caught him." It went viral overnight. Thousands of people read it, commented, and shared their own stories. His company found out within hours. By the next day, he was suspended. When he came home that evening, he was furious. "You did this," he shouted at me. "It wasn't me," I said quietly. "It was your daughter." He turned toward Emily's room, but she stood in the doorway before he could reach it. "You don't get to yell at her," she said, her voice steady. "You should be ashamed, Dad." Not angry. He tried to speak, but she cut him off. "You made us live a lie. You ruined our family. You don't get to hide anymore." He froze, realizing the power had shifted completely. Emily wasn't the little girl who once adored him. She was his judge now, and she had already delivered the sentence. A few weeks later, David's life unraveled. He lost his job permanently after HR found more inappropriate emails with a coworker. His friends stopped answering his calls. My sister had fled to another state, trying to start over, but rumors followed her there, too. Meanwhile, Emily and I rebuilt. Slowly, we moved out of that house, the one that held too many ghosts, and rented a small apartment near her university. I got a new job. I started therapy. Emily began volunteering for a women's advocacy group that helped victims of emotional and marital abuse. She said, "If I can help one woman catch her husband before it's too late, it's worth it." I was proud of her, but part of me still hurt, not just for what happened, but for what it turned us into. Revenge gave us justice, yes, but it also took something from us. Innocence, peace, trust. Still, when I saw her smile for the first time in months, I knew we were finally healing. Then, one evening, there was a knock at the door. It was David. He looked terrible, unshaven, tired, desperate. "Please," he said, "I just want to talk." I hesitated, but Emily came to stand beside me. "You've said enough," she told him coldly. "I lost everything," he said. "My job, my home, my family. I just want forgiveness." "Forgiveness?" Emily scoffed. "You want us to make you feel better?" He looked at me then, tears in his eyes. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I miss you." I took a deep breath. "You didn't just betray me, David. You betrayed our daughter. You made her lose faith in family, in love." He nodded slowly. "I know. I wish I could take it back." "You can't," I said softly, "but you can leave." And I closed the door. Months passed. David tried to contact us a few more times, but we ignored him. Emily blocked his number, and I finally changed mine. We were free, truly free. The day we moved into our new house, Emily handed me a letter. It was one of her essays from school, titled "The Strength of My Mother." As I read it, tears filled my eyes. My mom taught me that love doesn't mean tolerance for betrayal. That strength isn't just surviving, it's standing up and saying no more. When my father broke her heart, he thought she'd fall apart. But she didn't. She rose and she took me with her. I looked up at her and smiled. "You saved me too, you know." She hugged me tightly. We saved each other. A year later, I heard that David had moved to another city and was working odd jobs. My sister had been seen with someone new, pretending nothing had happened. I didn't care anymore. They were ghosts from another life. We had built something stronger, a new version of family, one that couldn't be broken by lies or betrayal. And while revenge had started our healing, forgiveness, real forgiveness, not for them but for ourselves, was what finally set us free. But make no mistake, I will never forget. I will never forget the night my world shattered. I will never forget my daughter's scream when she saw what he did. And I will never forget the look on his face when he realized his own child had exposed him to the world. He thought he could betray us and walk away clean. But karma, with my daughter's help, made sure he paid in full. And that, I suppose, is what justice really looks like, not in courtrooms, but in the quiet strength of the women he tried to break. 5 years later, life had finally settled into something resembling peace. Emily had graduated from college with honors and was working as a counselor for women overcoming emotional trauma, a purpose born from pain, but transformed into strength. I'd started my own small business, baking custom cakes from home, something I'd always dreamed of doing, but never dared to try when I was with David. We were happy, truly happy. But one day, a letter arrived that reopened an old wound I thought had healed. It was from my sister, Lily. Her handwriting was shaky but unmistakable. Sarah, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need to see you just once. I'm sick. I don't have much time left. Please, if there's any part of you that remembers the sister I was before I destroyed everything, come see me. Love, Lily. I read the letter 3 times, my hands trembling. I hadn't spoken to her since that night, the night Emily found the truth. For years, I'd pictured what I'd say if I ever saw her again. Some days, I imagined screaming at her. Other days, I imagined turning my back and walking away without a word. But now, reading that letter, all I felt was exhaustion. Emily came home later that evening, and I showed it to her. She frowned. Mom, you don't owe her anything. I know, I said quietly, but I think I need to see her. For me. She sighed. Then I'll go with you. The next afternoon, we drove 2 hours to a hospice in a quiet town outside Chicago. The nurse at the desk recognized the name immediately. Room 12, she said softly. She doesn't have much time left. When I walked in, Lily was a ghost of herself, thin, pale, her hair gone gray. But her eyes, when they met mine, filled instantly with tears. Sarah, her voice cracked. You came. I stood frozen for a moment, then sat beside her bed. You look tired, I managed to say. She gave a weak laugh. That's one way to put it. Emily stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, silent. Lily looked at her, guilt flooding her expression. You grew up, she whispered. You look just like your mother did when we were your age. Emily didn't respond. Her face was unreadable. For a while, no one spoke. The room hummed softly with the sound of the machines. Finally, Lily broke the silence. I've had a lot of time to think, she said, about what I did, about what I destroyed. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman lying in that bed wasn't the sister who betrayed me. She was broken, human, fragile. I don't expect you to forgive me, she continued. I just wanted to tell you, I loved him once. I thought he loved me too, but he didn't. Not really. He used us both. And when he left, I realized I'd given up my family for nothing. Her voice trembled, tears slipping down her cheeks. You were my best friend, Sarah. My only sister. And I ruined everything. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to say. For years, I'd carried hatred like armor, thinking it was the only thing keeping me strong. But sitting there watching her fight for breath, that hatred felt heavy, like a burden I didn't need anymore. I know, I said softly. You can't undo it. But I believe you're sorry. She nodded weakly. That means more than you think. Then she looked at Emily. And you were right to expose him. He destroyed so many lives, but you were the only one brave enough to fight back. For the first time, Emily's expression softened. You hurt my mom, she said, her voice quiet but firm. And I'll never forget that. But I think I get it now. People do terrible things when they're broken. Lily smiled faintly. You're a lot stronger than I ever was. We stayed for an hour. We talked not about the affair, not about David, but about small things. Our childhood, the beach trips we used to take, the songs we used to sing in the kitchen. When it was time to leave, Lily reached out and grabbed my hand. Thank you for coming, she whispered. I squeezed her fingers gently. Goodbye, Lily. She smiled through tears. Goodbye, Sarah. And that was the last time I saw her. 3 weeks later, she passed away. The nurse called me personally to let me know. She said Lily had kept my picture by her bedside until the very end. I sat in silence for a long time after hanging up. Then I walked outside into the soft glow of the afternoon sun and felt a peace I hadn't felt in decades. Emily joined me on the porch, resting her head on my shoulder. Do you regret going? She asked. I shook my head. No, I think I needed to see that she was still human. We both did terrible things trying to survive what he did to us, but hate only kept us chained to it. Emily nodded. So what now? I smiled. Now we live. Months later, I visited Lily's grave alone. I brought wildflowers, the kind she used to pick when we were kids, and laid them gently on the headstone. I forgive you, I whispered. And I forgive myself too. A breeze swept through the trees, rustling the leaves. It felt like an answer. As I turned to leave, I thought of everything we'd been through. The betrayal, the revenge, the pain, the healing. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was real. And sometimes that's enough. That night, as Emily and I sat together on our porch, watching the sunset, she said, Mom, do you ever think about him? Sometimes, I admitted, but only to remind myself how far we've come without him. She smiled. You know what I think? What? She looked at me with that same fierce determination that once terrified David. I think the best revenge is exactly this, peace. I smiled through tears. You're right. And for the first time in years, I truly believed it.
Like, subscribe, and share with your friends who related to it. Comment below for next story.